Welcome back, viewers. I'm Sirat Kaur and you're watching the Savera. In a strongly worded note, Editor-in-Chief of Dainik Savera, Shital calls for global unity against terrorism, highlighting recent events that have shaken India and exposed the truth about Pakistan's long-standing role in sponsoring terror. Let's hear it in his words. Terrorism is not just India's problem, it is a global challenge. Many countries have faced terrorism and all nations need to come together to combat this threat. When terrorists in Kashmir's Pahalgam on April 22nd asked about religion and stained the Besaran Valley with human blood, it was decided then that India must wage a decisive battle against terrorism. For the first time, cross-border terrorism carried out targeted killings based on religion. Husbands were murdered in front of their wives. The sole intent was to create religious tension in India. Just a week earlier, on April 16th, Pakistan's Army Chief General Asim Munir, addressing a conference of overseas Pakistanis in Islamabad, called Jammu Kashmir the lifeline of Pakistan and citing the two-nation theory, stated that Pakistan and India are separate nations because their religions, traditions, ideologies and ambitions are different. Then, after the Pahalgam attack on April 22nd, Pakistan's Defence Minister Khwaja Asif admitted in an interview with Sky News that Pakistan had supported and financed terrorist organizations for 3 decades, describing it as dirty work done for the United States. The very next day, on April 29th, after the statement was released on April 28th, India labelled Pakistan a deceitful country that promotes terrorism at the UN. India's Deputy Permanent Representative to the UN, Yojana Patel, speaking at the inaugural event of the Victims of Terrorism Network, referenced Khwaja's statement saying that Pakistan cannot escape accountability by calling its support for terrorism dirty work for the US. She added that Pakistan has supported, trained and financed terrorist organizations for decades. India urged the international community to recognize Pakistan as the global epicenter of terrorism. This acknowledgement comes from Pakistan itself. On May 2nd, Pakistan People's Party chairman and former Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto admitted in an interview that Pakistan's past is linked to terrorism and this is no secret. This strong stance against terrorism has provided some solace to India's wounds. The Indian women whose Sindoor was wiped away may find some peace in their hearts along with their families. But is this enough for India to rest? Will there be no more terrorist incidents in India or other countries in the future? Terrorism is not just India's problem, it is a global challenge. Many countries have faced terrorism and all nations need to come together to combat this threat entirely. In this context, the world must deeply analyze Pakistan's Defence Minister Khwaja's statement. It is possible that this admission claiming Pakistan's support for terrorism was dirty work for the US was timed to garner global sympathy after the Pahalgam attack. It was certain that India would retaliate. This confession might also be an attempt to avoid global isolation. The world must understand that Pakistan cannot escape accountability with such excuses. Since its inception, Pakistan has been a rogue nation. For over 2 decades, it nurtured terrorism in Punjab and Kashmir. But the Western world turned a blind eye. It only woke up when the 9/11 attacks struck the US, destroying the Twin Towers and targeting the Pentagon. The mastermind, Saudi-born Osama bin Laden, evaded the US for a decade and was finally killed in Pakistan's Abbottabad, right next to its military academy. The US may have believed it had won its war against terrorism, but that is not the case. It must be understood that terrorism in one corner of the world will sooner or later affect other parts. The time has come for the world to treat terrorism as a pandemic and unite to fight it. As India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has demanded, the international community must take a firm stand against Pakistan, the global hub of terrorism. The time has come for the UN and other international organizations to formulate a concrete policy against terrorism. Countries like Turkey and China often differentiate between types of terrorism. The UN must define terrorism clearly, and the world must agree on it. Strict sanctions should be imposed on countries that promote terrorism, and tough action must be taken against those who shelter terrorists. Only then can the dream of a peaceful, prosperous and humane world be realized. A powerful call for unity and accountability from Shital, reminding the world that terrorism knows no borders and the fight against it must be just as global.